Hi, everybody. Welcome to Geeksvana Live. My name is Sean, as you probably already know. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I really appreciate you all coming along on a Wednesday to see us. Obviously, we've been live streaming on different days recently, which has been an awful lot of fun. We've got a great subject to bring you this evening, really looking at how drones can be extremely effective and how the future of drones isn't necessarily just the thing that we play with as hobbyists, or even on the enterprise side of things, doing your wider uses of drones. There are some very specific case uses which are coming out now, which are actually going to be very, very exciting. So we've got a great panel along with us this evening. We've got Stephen from Flyby Guys, we've got Craig from Fotokite, and also we have Vern from Axon as well, which I'll introduce you all to in a couple of moments. Thank you very much again, as I say, everybody, for joining us. Just say hi to everybody in the chat very quickly. Phantom Flight 101, hi. Travels with Rosie, Alex, good to see you. Drone Viral, Jesse, hi. El Smeghead, Akarasho. Johnny Mac 26, hope you're well, sir. Good to see you as well. Chris Kendall, hi all. Looking forward to this. So am I actually, Chris. It's been one that's been on my list for a little while now, actually. So Lawrence Novice Quads, good to see you. Two Drones Photography, great to see lots of our channel members in the chat as well. Mike Drennan included, and Mike Miller, Fish Diaries. I really do appreciate it. So thank you all for coming along. Now we're going to be talking about essentially a solution, a drone solution this evening, rather than one specific company, because this is the marrying together of two powerhouses within the technology field, essentially, bringing them together to bring a solution that I'm actually can tell very excited about personally, because I just the uses for this just keep coming out of my brain at the moment. It is a very exciting thing. But what I wanted to do first of all was play a promo video, which is actually from Fotokite, which will give you a sense of the drone product itself. So and then we'll come back and we'll have a chat with the panel. And there we have it, the Fotokite Sigma, an absolutely fantastic piece of kit, which is actually from this gentleman's company down here. This is Craig from Fotokite. Hi, Craig.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you very much for coming along. And of course, we have Vern here from Axon. Hi, Vern. Good to see you as well.
Hey, nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
And we all know this man, Stephen from the Flyby Guys, of course. How are you, Stephen?
Fine. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. How are you?
Excellent. And so, yeah, so we're here today to talk about I really call it a solution. How would you describe the partnership, Vern?
Yeah, so, Axon has a history of being really a technology company. I'm sure your audience knows, is aware of the original kind of taser weapon. So that was about 27, 28 years ago. Very common, less lethal weapon throughout the world, as well as we're really ubiquitous in the body-worn camera world. And about 2017, we really morphed from just a pure hardware company to more of a hardware and technology company, with live streaming, data storage, and all the things that public safety partners and customers really need to have. And we've really gotten into the drone space within about the last 2 years, with a product that does live streaming, program management, limited data storage, things like that, that we are really starting to see become popular in public safety and law enforcement. And we partner with premier companies to manufacture those drones. We, at Axon, while we do have a manufacturing heritage, it's in our DNA. The drone space is just so huge, and there's so many different drones as tools for different types of utility that agencies need. We know that we can never produce that whole spectrum of drones. So we look to have the best partners, and Fotokite is one of those partners, especially with the tethered drone. Really amazing solution, incredible when you get to see it in person, and just how very simple and reliable it is to use, which is really an important feature in law enforcement. Reducing that training barrier to our law enforcement and first responders is just huge.
Absolutely, and this is actually the original video, which is playing out now as B-roll, which is of course how I found you guys with your own post, Vern, on LinkedIn of this, and this really inspired me because again, you were talking about training barriers and that type of thing. With drones, of course, drones are something which are technical, which do require licensing and certificates and that type of thing. But of course, when that drone then becomes tethered, not only does it become very controllable, but of course you do manage to sidestep some of the issues as far as having to have any kind of public safety representative, law enforcement, etc., actually fully trained, or Part 107, etc. This of course has a much lower barrier. And therefore, of course, once you've purchased the tech and once you've got everything working, it's something which is more affordable ongoing, because it's a standard training course in the police training room, rather than something having to go to the FAA to get training on and that type of thing, which I think is a very, very positive thing. How the drone itself, Craig, is that currently, how many countries is that currently actively deployed at the moment?
Yeah, so we launched in the fire market in North America in 2019. Our next phase was the police space in 2020, and we were fortunate enough to get to partner with the leader in the space, Axon. And we loved their mission, obsoleting the bullet, their technology minded going forward. It's been a great, because we really look for technology partnerships, not just the distribution channel.
Absolutely.
And that's been really important to us. Also in 2020, we launched in Europe as well. And we have 12 different distributors in Europe now as well. So
that's fantastic.
We've been executing on our path of North America and Europe, and we're looking at where we're going to open up other countries here in 2022 as well.
Yes, of course, because as I was mentioning before, and also as Vern mentioned, with the regulatory side of things, because it is a tethered drone, it does open up so many more markets to you. You're not sort of having to think, okay, we have this great public safety drone, now we need to make it adapt to the European regulations and to the Australian regulations, etc. Of course, being tethered, so many countries, if it is tethered, it does assist from that point of view, which is fantastic. One of the things that attracts me about the partnership between Axon and Fotokite as well is the data side of things and the cloud side of things, because of course this isn't just a clever little drone that'll pop out of the box and give the officer or whoever's using it on the ground situational awareness. This is something which is capable to actually have live streaming as well, I understand, Vern?
Yeah, absolutely. So just backing up a little bit, I'm prior to coming to Axon, I'm a 25-year veteran of the Chula Vista Police Department, which is in San Diego, California. I retired about a year ago as the patrol operations captain, built our drone program starting back in 2016. And so I have a lot of experience building out a program, Chula Vista's program known as Drone as First Responders, nationally and internationally known. And so I've firsthand experienced all of the barriers that it takes to actually stand up a drone program. And so I have a long history also with having worked with Axon for over 10 years with body-worn cameras and their ecosystem at evidence.com. And so when I saw that they were getting into the drone space, really becoming serious about it, I knew this was the company for me, because really what Axon does is try and take out all of those silos and pain points that a public safety agency has to have in terms of, how do I get my pilot's licensed? How do I, procure equipment and then have program management? How do I live stream? How do I store, this ocean of data that I'm going to have and manage it? Which in law enforcement and public safety is evidence, right? So you have to have really high level secure systems. And we have government rated highly secure cloud storage solutions as well as program management already. So we have the most turnkey solution for public safety drone programs in the world with Axon. And again, just the ability to essentially, from any point of your program, from just starting to a midline program to really an advanced program, take it to scale with the right software, technology, backup support, as well as hardware. We want to be that end-to-end solution, because that's, prior to us really jumping into this public safety drone market really was a big void. And that's what we're really excited about. And to have a great piece of technology like the Fotokite, that again, the lower barrier to training, at Chula Vista, we would send our pilots to 107 school where they would actually go for 3 days, pass the 107 test, get hands-on flight training. And then we would also train 10 hours per month for the whole team. And when your team is 17 officers, 20 officers, that's a huge investment. And that's for, free flying drones. But with Fotokite, you don't have to do that, right? For one, in the States, and Craig can go into the regulations, you don't need a Part 107 license to fly a Fotokite. You do need a person who is, again, I'm just a cop, so I call it the care and feeding of the drone, right? You need a person there to pilot the drone, but they don't have to have a 107. And it's, literally something that, you're showing the screen. It's designed to be, single touch buttons. It's an actively tethered drone, which means that tether is part of the flight control system of the drone. It's always helping and aware of where it's at. And so it really takes the burden of piloting off the operator and allows them to more focus on the incident at hand and be a problem solver on an incident rather than being a pilot per se, trying to make sure the controls are perfect or angles and things like that. It's just a really great turnkey solution.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's. Sorry, I was just going to say that the situational awareness is probably one of the most important things for any, for any officer and what you're doing there, and obviously having the evidence, as you said. But it sounds more like now the officers are more concentrated on the data.
Yeah.
and they have to be, don't want to say pilots, but they have to be data analysis now to be able to gather that data.
But again, I feel like this particular system kind of takes that burden off them as well, because with that one press of the button, the drone goes up. So the Fotokite system, of course, is in full effect, but then of course the Axon cloud side of things comes in as well, and you have obviously access for base commanders. So a commander back at base can see what's going on, the officer can see what's going on, and all of the evidence is automatically being collected and stored for future reference. So then you've got your law enforcement or public safety or fire officer on the ground concentrating on the job at hand. They're concentrating on the car they've just pulled over, or the the accident that they've just arrived at. And I think that's excellent because again, with Axon, with the Axon body camera, that again is something that they managed very, very well. And again, it isn't something, once they've turned it on, etc., it isn't something that the officer has to actively be involved in as such. And I kind of see this as the next natural progression, bringing some very clever tech together. Frankly, I think it's absolutely superb.
If I could just jump in and you know, I certainly appreciate you know, both Stephen and your comments on situational awareness, because really that's what drones are all about, right? It's, you know, drones are just a tool. They're a platform for whatever you know, you need to carry in terms of payload, and the camera for us is what's critical. And to give that live situational awareness, as we were talking about before, you know, in traditional police work or fire work, you might have 1 or 2 cops or police officers that are on the ground facing a situation, and that's the entirety of the situational awareness, is their perception under stress, counting adrenaline dumps, and you know, their tunnel vision, hearing tunnel vision, all that kind of stuff is hitting those officers. Whereas a drone gives an entirely different perspective. It's out of the zone of kind of danger, right? It's a machine, it's
absolutely.
a robot. But it, you know, via live streaming, you are now allowing supervisors, other officers, managers, senior administrators, people with even a deeper depth of experience than sometimes first responders have, which tend to be the newest people in our career, or, you know, at the beginning of their career. All of a sudden you open up this world of experience to then recognize key signals and you know, things that you might, a senior person might notice, and then be able to say, no, you know what, I need to get a supervisor on scene, I need to get this tool or resource there, so that we can then de-escalate it, or to change what our tactics are, so that we have a better result and we return our communities to normal faster, right?
Excellent.
Versus just the traditional model of just 2 cops on the ground trying to figure out what the heck is going on, right? And so that's why situational awareness is just absolutely amazing. And again, Fotokite, to be able to have that so easily deployable on routine calls changes so much, because they're, I'm sure that the audience really understands there's no routine call in policing. Right?
No, indeed.
There's really not a routine call, and they might start one way. We might come into it with certain facts that we've been told by an emergency caller, but they can really rapidly spin out of control. And having live situational awareness helps us to recognize that, correct for it in real time, and then mitigate any bad acts that could have occurred or
absolutely yes
outcome.
Well, it's funny you say that, actually, because one of the things that when I first saw your video on LinkedIn, one of the things that actually reminded me of was a story that I actually only learned this last year, because it isn't something that happens in the UK, that highway patrol officers will actually touch the hot back lights of a car that they've stopped to basically leave a little bit of DNA on the light, which this, to me, this kind of system really moves that forward from the point of view that everything, there is up to the minute situational awareness of exactly what is happening. I'm not necessarily suggesting every single police stop will have a drone, but hey, one day, who knows, we'll have a drone popping up.
Skies will be full.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And you're spot on. And really, today, via the Axon network, we can concurrently live stream an officer's body-worn camera, multiple officers' body-worn cameras, live stream from the fleet cameras within the cars, as well as live stream multiple drone footage all on one screen into a command center, so that the managers and supervisors, the people responsible for these outcomes, know in real time what's going on, and they can again make those changes. It's absolutely transformational.
That is superb. Moving on to the drone for a moment itself, Craig, what can you tell us about this? Because the drone itself looks to be pretty innovative, because of course this isn't something which you're having to build to work with controllers and have hobbyists in mind, and capture that scenic vista, etc. This does have a very specific type of operation. Is this something that Fotokite actually manufactured themselves?
Yeah, Sean. So we were really aiming we designed this from the ground up for first responders. I think that's kind of one of the unique things for firefighting, police response. It's actively tethered, which Vern talked about, which means there's tension on the tether at all times. And we're really aiming for something that you could be deployed quickly on any call. Not saying you need it on any call, but it needs to be available on any call. So
Absolutely.
not needing the pilot's license is huge. Less than 1% of first responders have a pilot's license. So you're already very niche in who can operate traditional drones in the public safety space. We're even calling it a kite versus a drone. Part of it's branding, but part of it really is a different paradigm and how we've worked with the FAA with the latest reauthorization bill. They called out a new class of craft in there called actively tethered. And within that, meeting those definitions, that's what opened up the operational freedom to not require first responders to need that pilot's license, which really was a big deal. Back to being able to launch and fly on any scene. We're IP55 rated. We can fly in rain, snow. We can fly in up to 25, 30 mile an hour winds. So once again, in being able to deploy, push button, one button launch within seconds on a scene, not needing to set something up for minutes or even 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the size of your system. Those were all very thoughtful design requirements for something that we could launch immediately on any call.
It's excellent. It is again, you almost feel like, okay, a tethered drone, in absolute concept, you feel like that's taking almost a step backwards because you're limiting the drone. But actually, the way that it's opened up the operational side of things is really what's fascinated me, frankly.
The operational freedom is disrupted. If we've been doing some work with LA Fire, FDNY, and others, and they have large drone teams, but they go, I can't put a pilot in every station. I could put a Fotokite in every station or an actively tethered system, and I can scale that. So
yes.
what this is really is giving you scale. It's giving you the ability to be on every scene immediately, and it's giving you the ability to then get that information back. And there's trade-offs, right? Can we fly around? Can we do all those other things? No, but we can actually get on scene and get you immediate information. That's the value proposition.
Absolutely, which is huge. And there's a couple of former law enforcement people in the chat who are saying exactly that, as far as the value that this would add in terms of having live situational awareness. But again, anything that I see of this type, I just love the fact that this is low end work on the side of the officer on the scene. That's one of the things that I really like about this. And we see as a channel and Stephen as flyby guys, we see a lot of how would we describe it, Stephen? Pie in the sky type of sort of products which come along and they're very sincere, the people that put these product ideas forward and that type of thing. But it kind of falls down a little bit. It's a bit like drone delivery of pizza and that type of thing. And how we all got very excited about that a few years ago, and now we're starting to realize just how far away that kind of drone delivery is. But then you have this kind of solution with the Fotokite and Axon partnership, and it's exciting because it does have that real world concept.
It's more, I think also at the same time is you are adding value to your own operations. Like you say, you don't have to have the pilots that have to have licenses. It's a case of it can be up in 15 seconds. That is so valuable. It adds a lot more, knowing how the first responders, knowing how the police work. If they will have one of the matrice up there, they'll have to bring it down within 20 minutes, change the batteries, put it back up again. And you lose, you'll be losing so much from that. And that's why, I was saying earlier about, being able to have the AI data from that, and it's constant. It's absolutely constant. And I think that one thing is that this is not just for actually emergencies. This is also for police operations. So it can be that when you have, like a large demonstration, because again, the police have to have eyes and ears in a sense, and this adds to that as well. So I don't see it as something where you can also use just for emergencies, but it can be used for everyday events and stuff like that, if you're having,
Yeah,
let's say, concerts
absolutely.
or something as well, to give you more eyes and stuff, you know. So
I agree.
it's just adding the value, and this is something which I do see that this does.
Now, and anybody who is watching, there are links in the description both to Axon and Fotokite, and our senior moderator has been very kindly been popping the links in the live chat as well. So there's plenty of links if you do want to inquire and find out about this further as well. A couple of questions that are coming in from the chat. What's the maximum height of the tether? How high can that go to?
150 feet, 50 meters is, and that's really designed around the exemptions and the operational freedom we receive from the FAA, which calls out 150 feet and below.
Excellent. And does the tether supply the power, and is the data transferred along that line as well?
Yeah, those are two nice advantages. Traditional constraints of drone flying, flight time, batteries. So we have virtually unlimited flight time as long as you have power going up the tether. We've had systems flying for many days, depending on the type of scene that you have. And then also we send data down the tether. So we don't have that constraint of trying to send rich video wirelessly from a free flying bird. We have basically unlimited bandwidth down the tether. Then we have a much larger base station architecturally. So we have a very light kite, but we get to take advantage of the base station, and then we can do anything with the video from there.
That's excellent. So the time in the air can be significant then, as long as the vehicle is obviously still running and providing power up there. Then you are talking about being able to deploy for pretty much however long that incident's going to occur.
Correct.
That is superb. Very good.
I see the problem here not being the flight time, but storing the data that you get for that amount of time.
Yes, which
Absolutely.
is where Axon's clever cloud comes into things, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my former agency has about 150 terabytes worth of video data.
Wow.
Not just in drones, but that's counting all the body-worn camera data and any other digital evidence that they have chosen to store. 150 terabytes. And so it's an ocean. When I say it's an ocean of data, it is an ocean of data that has to be managed. And that's literally what Axon's, the heart of Axon, the heart of evidence.com is for. If I could just tell a really quick story, because
Please.
wish that I had Fotokite, maybe about a year before I retired. We had a radio call of a young man who was mentally ill, who climbed up on the roof of a 2-story house, and basically that's what he did. When he got panicked, he climbed up on the roof of a house and he would hang out there. We were talking to the family member that he ran away from, and he said he did this about a year ago at a public college, and he was on the roof of a parking garage, multi-story parking garage. The police were negotiating, and when they moved in too close, he jumped, right? And he was seriously injured during that incident. So we made the tactical decision. We're going to let him come down in his time. We're just going to wait this out. We're going to push it. We're not going to take the chance he's going to injure. But we had drones available, and so we literally, withdrew our, visible presence as best we could, left a couple, reactionary cops nearby so they could move in when he came down, and then we left. We're flying drones to keep them up, and the pilot would have to, every 20-25 minutes, bring down a drone, swap batteries, do that. We were able to last about 8 hours before we could no longer keep up with battery charges and the ability to do all that. And this incident ended up probably being about 12 hours before he just came down of his own volition, right? Was a great call outcome, because, we were able to take him into custody, get him the help that he needed. But this would have been a perfect call for a Fotokite, because it would have been one operator. They wouldn't have had to have a pilot and an extra observer and all kinds of things going on. So resource-wise, it would have been really good for us as well. So just a real-world example, not too terribly long ago, using drones to save lives, where a Fotokite would have reduced the burden on our agency to do that.
Absolutely, yes, and would give them the operational distance as well to be able to stay there as long as is needed, which is fantastic. Because again, that to me, we've had a company on recently called Brink Drones, who have their SWAT drone, which is a fantastic product, and there's some huge innovations happening in drones and law enforcement and public safety at the moment. One of the things that I like about the Fotokite as well, as far as it's staying in the operation is you're not withdrawing a drone and taking off a drone against you. You're almost you're not becoming part of the spectacle, if that makes sense. By bringing a huge matrice down to land and then changing batteries, taking off again. Well, whoever's being involved can see that happening, etc. And it's another point of stress. You know, is the drone back in the area, etc. So it's very good from that point of view. One question we've had from Akirasha, good to see you, is can the drone be detached from the tether at all and operated like a traditional drone? Is there any scope from that point of view?
So system right now is designed only to be tethered. So in some of the design considerations, the flight unit is incredibly light to be able to meet the FAA regulations. So we don't have big batteries or other things on there, which you would need to support, you know, untethered flights. So
yes.
Current configuration is only tethered at the moment.
Yeah, which again, obviously not having to have the batteries on board, etc. And from a design point of view, this is keeping that whole tethered concept very pure, isn't it, as well, rather than trying to sort of muddy off into other types of things. Because as you say, it gets heavy from a regulation point of view. JW Drones was asking if you've got plans to supply to other industries. He works in energy, and they've been looking into something like this to put into remote areas to spot early fires and problems. And that again sounds like quite a good deployment for the Fotokite system from the point of view of having it not necessarily on vehicles as well, of course, but in watchtowers almost, where this can be deployed very effectively.
We do. We've had a number of inquiries in that space specifically, and it's been challenging at times to stay focused. We've been very 2019 North American Fire, 2020 public safety law enforcement in Europe. And now we're just beginning to look at some of these other markets, which we know there's been a lot of pull because we've had requests, but we've been trying to really make sure we're successful with our current partners in these current markets. And we've been very happy with that approach, but it's been challenging not to go out and explore all these other ones yet. So
yeah, no,
we're excited to go down that path, and that is one of them for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, I can understand that. Which, of course, we fully welcome you to the UK as well, because we Axon is of course such a trusted brand over here with law enforcement. So it's again another good reason why the partnership works. Can the base unit itself? So if I'm a law enforcement officer and I've deployed the drone, can the unit then be moved? Can you actually move the car, or do you need to bring the drone back before you can move?
Current SOP would be land the system, which lands very quickly, and then move. We are looking at different on-the-move operations, which we've not unlocked for any current customers. So that's just the current fleet out there is launch and land.
Yes.
And we do have those capabilities, but they're not released. And we need to look at the regulations in each market, and then also what the training packages are. But yeah, more to come there.
That sounds exciting. Whenever anybody in the tech field says that's not something we've released to anybody yet, you think, oh, there's something coming. That's a very exciting wording for sure. But excellent. Yeah. So that's the questions in the chat at the moment. So where do you see this system in the next 5 to 10 years? Do you see this becoming something which is as commonly used as Axon's body cams and that type of thing, or do you see this remaining a niche type of tool?
I think it's going to be extremely popular. You know, I don't think it will be to the point of body cams per se, in terms of every single officer has one per se, but every patrol car certainly could get there, because we'd be talking some economies of scale for sure. And so I do think we're going to have, you know, quite a successful deployment with regard to that. Just that low barrier to entry, the persistent situational awareness. You know, everybody has seen in policing the challenges that we have here in the States, and, you know, in the EU, of course, and everywhere. But I think in the States, for the most part, a lot of challenges with regard to protests, challenges with regard to bad outcomes on calls. And we've proven through my former agency that when you have live situational awareness, you have better outcomes, and agencies will invest. Their communities will invest and understand in tools that will drive better outcomes, safer outcomes, and restore normalcy to their community faster. So I really see it is it's going to go off like gangbusters. Every time that I go anywhere with one and demonstrate it, conventions, to police departments, they're very impressed. They see the use cases. They're very, very interested. So I'm very bullish on this product and partnership.
Excellent. And it's actually, it's one of the types of products that excites me from the point of view of the wider community, the public, as far as drones are concerned, because this is a very positive use case for drones. And again, if you do start seeing, you know, the fire engine pulling up, and you expect then to see the tethered drone coming out or the police car pulling up, and you think, okay, yeah, he's going to come and talk to me because the drone's just gone up, so I know he's going to leave his car, etc. Not only are you obviously minimizing risk to the officers on the ground, but it's normalizing drones as well, which I think is very, very positive for us as a drone community in general. Anything that's out there that's a good news story for drones is something which we fully support, and I certainly personally fully support this product. I honestly, you know, I'm as critical as the next person, and I honestly don't see too many holes in how this would operate, frankly, which is always good to see. How do you view this over in someone like Finland, Stephen? Do you think there would be as easy deployment? Do you see any issues? Because I know that there are things like with the Fotokite, it has the IP55 rating, isn't it, for the water? So it's able to operate in different conditions as well. And obviously Finland has some very challenging conditions, shall we say, Stephen, from one extreme to the other as well, of course.
Yeah, it's of course Finland is known as a cold country. It's also a very hot country now as well. Obviously, the way things are going, we just had our second very hot summer. In fact, you just said that we had the hottest summer in history. Wow. 50 days in a row. But we also have the same in the extreme cold as well. So we can get things down to -20, -25, and which of course is very, very cold. And those are challenging conditions. And you know, drones are still used. Every police department, every city in Finland has their own drone section. They all have drones. Excellent. It doesn't matter. Even as far north, right up where Santa Claus comes from, they all have their drones as well, and they use their drones actively. And they, you know, I was learning a few things about how the police use their drones and how they use different applications and stuff. But I definitely can see how the Finnish police force would use this. Even though this is a very safe country, we don't have high crime. In fact, our crime is almost at nothing.
Show off.
But that doesn't mean to say that the you know, drones shouldn't be used. They use drones all the time. They use drones actively. If you have demonstrations, if you have large amounts of people, anywhere where the police need to be just to make sure that everything's okay. Yeah, they will use drones, and this is something I think they would use. Exactly.
But I think that's a good point you make as well about this isn't just a crime beating drone, which of course, you know, you can put a little cape on it as it takes off, and I think, you know, it would certainly fit. But it is that public safety aspect that I think attracts me about it as well, from the point of view that you know, a wide range of government bodies could deploy this drone. And get just so much data. I mean, you know, it's endless. You know, railway stations, and you know, if there's a tree down on a track, and one of these units is deployed, they're able to show perhaps a more qualified expert back at base, you know, what's happened, and that person can advise which trains need to be stopped. You know, it's endless in my little brain, frankly. But there you go. Yeah, I think I need that sales job for Fotokite personally. But there you go. Craig, what does the drone used for its positioning? This is a question from Mike Drennan in the chat, one of our members. Hi, Mike. Is it GPS or optical flow, or is it something proprietary using the tether?
Yeah, so some of our core IP, which has also helped us get some of this great operational freedom from a safety perspective, is the system totally self-localizing based on the tether. So since we're always actively tethered, the system always knows where it is relative to the base station.
Wow.
So that's unique. So we don't require GPS to fly. That's why you'll see us flying inside at trade shows and usually no other systems. You can see us flying in downtown areas next to buildings, very challenging types of environments, because the system's always localizing itself. Now, we do use GPS when it's available because we'll take any data that's out there, but we do not require it.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's a great way of explaining it as well. That of course, because you have this literal cord there, then from a positioning point of view, the drone does have that security, the software. You're not having to worry about where it is from that point of view. It knows exactly where it is at all times, which is that's a very good way of explaining that. Thank you. Okay, well that brings us towards the end of our 45 minutes. As I warned you both, it does pass very quickly, which is fantastic. I want to thank you both very much for joining us today to help us bring this good news story for drones to the audience. Anyone that's got any questions, Vern and Craig can both be found on LinkedIn. There's links in the description to all of those accounts and to the main Axon and Fotokite websites as well. In actual fact, LinkedIn is how I started talking to Vern in the first place. So both companies are very active out there on social media. So thank you both very much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Okay, so guys, as I say, thank you very much everyone for watching, coming along on a Wednesday. I want to say evening because it's Wednesday evening for me, but I'm aware that we're obviously a global audience, so we're going to be watching this from all over the world. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. Do go along and visit the links and check out this innovative drone solution, which I think is really great news for drones. Coming up this evening, which is in fact in about 15 minutes time, we're heading over to, is it Lawrence or Herman's channel tonight, Stephen? Okay, so yeah, so you'll be able to see Stephen on Phantom Flight 101's channel for Those Guys a twice weekly stream, where he's going to be talking about, I'm sure you're going to be talking about drone delivery this evening, won't you?
We are.
Very exciting.
And probably other things as well.
Indeed. But do head on over there, and we'll obviously see you next time on Geeksvana Live. We've got some more great videos coming out over the next couple of days, including a Mini 2 stick extender video, which is, I promise you, is much more interesting than I make it sound. But thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it, everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.